Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I am very happy to be bringing you guys my first battle in the PMC, week number 1, Wi-Fi League, playing on the 3DS. First time we're doing that for the channel, and we have the pleasure of going up against Akki this week, coach of the Portland Crobats. And as you can see, he's bringing a team of Excelgor, Magneton, Cobalion, Landorus, Hoopa-U and Mega Lopunny, while I am bringing Hydreigon, not Cresselia. I've nicknamed it Crest Jr., but it's Musharna. Also packing Emboar, Jirachi, Sandslash, and Manaphy. So right off the bat, he has a extremely fast team. Extremely fast. The slowest Pokemon that he has is Landorus by its speed stat. So I'm gonna have a hard time setting up with Manaphy, I feel, just because everything can outspeed it and potentially revenge it. Fortunately though, he doesn't have any switch-ins to Emboar, so every time Emboar comes in, it basically gets a kill. Hydreigon can also do work. He does have a couple of steel types, which is unfortunate for our dragon moves, but Earth Power, once we get Landorus out of the way, could potentially do some damage. And yeah, quick note before we go into the match. In the video, there were a couple of mistakes that I made. One, Musharna does not actually learn Moonblast. I could have sworn it did, but anyway, we're rocking Psychic on it instead of Moonblast. And then also, Sandslash cannot run Natural Gift with Sandrush, so we are packing Sandveil instead. That doesn't really play a role in the battle at all, but just wanted you guys to know. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. So I've picked my lead to be Hydreigon for this match just because I figured I could U-turn out on just about anything, but perhaps kind of predictably he leads with the Lopunny. So I take this as an opportunity to switch out into my Musharna, which is my dedicated Lopunny counter, as he is going to go for his Mega Evolution. Now, this Musharna, I think I mentioned this in my team builder, we're going to have to be really careful with this Musharna because it lures in the Hoopa, and if that thing comes in, something gets a kill. But he does go for the Fake Out, does a little bit of chip damage, about 10%, but we heal back 6% of that. He is rocking the Baton Pass, which is really interesting. I collect Baton Pass here as well, expecting him to go into his Hoopa, but instead he goes into his Landorus, which is kind of pretty interesting play. So, excuse me, I take this as an opportunity to go into my Sandslash because I am packing the Natural Gift on this thing, and this could be a good opportunity for me to snipe off his Landorus. Now, I do know that I can live 2 Earthquakes even if he is offensive, and that a neutral, not a -1, not a +1, Natural Gift is not going to kill this Landorus. So I go for Swords Dance, and he goes for another Earthquake. And this was a pretty good learning lesson for me. So Ganlon Berry pops if you get to below 25% HP. So I consume my berry to get a defense boost before I can actually use it for Natural Gift. So that was a complete flop. And now this Landorus is still sitting here with full HP. I bring in my Hydreigon because he's got no reason not to Earthquake again. He does swap out here. Now in the moment of the match, I wasn't really thinking about it, but that should have been a pretty good indicator to me that he was choiced in some way. And based on the damage, it was most likely Choice Scarf. But I was still just a little bit flustered from missing out on that Natural Gift play, because that was really the only counter I had to that Landorus. If I had gone for it on the first turn, I would have gotten off a nice 75%, and I'd be able to whittle it down later on. So anyway, I bring in the Hydreigon, and I U-turn as this Cobalion switches in. Cobalion does go for Stealth Rock, and this Jirachi can't really do a whole lot into Cobalion, but I didn't really have another switch in for it. This time I U-turn and I go into Manaphy, because I figure I can get off a Scald on something. Even if this Cobalion has Volt Switch, it's not going to do a ton because it doesn't have very good special attack, and he might even be negative special attack natured. But I can go for a Scald and hopefully get a burn on something or get some good damage. And as I mentioned too, Manaphy is just not as good this game as it otherwise would have been if he had brought Pokemon like Slowbro and a Moongus. It would have been better, but he did not bring those mons. So he brings out the Magneton, and I go for this Scald, and it does like a good 60 to 70%, which leads me to believe that he's not Eviolite. He's most likely some sort of like Choice Scarf set. Or potentially even Choice Specs, but it's definitely not Eviolite, and that much I know for sure. So I don't want to take an electric move, so I take this as an opportunity to switch out into my Sandslash. If he went for Thunderbolt and he is choiced in some way, then we can come in with Knuckles and get off our rocks. But he makes a good double into Excelgor, and he just goes on ahead and tries to knock me out here, which he obviously will because our Knuckles had very low HP. So sorry, Knuckles, you didn't do a whole lot this battle, but that's mostly my fault. You could have gotten off a huge hit if we had played that natural gift a little bit better. So definitely we'll know that for the future. Be more aware of when we consume our berries. So anyway, our Emboar comes in, and he, as I mentioned at the beginning, he does not have a switch in for this. So I have no reason not to click Flare Blitz. And this Landorus is going to come in, it's going to intimidate us, and it's going to land a clean like 75% on this Landorus. We're going to take a lot of recoil, but that damage is clean. Just imagine if I had gotten off 75% with that Sandslash earlier in the game. So he makes a good play into Lopunny because he's going to be anticipating my Sucker Punch there. I can't stay in on this, so I go into my switch in once again into Musharna. I am weary of the Baton Pass, which is what he clicks here, as you can see. But I don't have any other play. I don't want to stay in with my Emboar because it's just too valuable at this point. Every time it comes in, it gets a kill. And I can bring it in on this Pokemon, actually, on Excelgor, because, you know, if it has Final Gambit or something, you know, that's a good play. But more likely, I can just click Flare Blitz and get off a tremendous amount of damage. So beforehand, this Excelgor just went for Bug Buzz. Now it's going for Spikes. And so this was a really great decision by Akki to bring the Spikes. He knew that with having Lopunny and Hoopa on his team, I wouldn't be able to bring Sableye, so he was pretty safe bringing hazards. And my only other hazard remover was Sandslash, which obviously I didn't pack Rapid Spin this week. But the combination of Stealth Rock and 2 layers of Spikes is going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on my team, because I'm trying to sort of pivot around, make sure I get into the right Pokemon to take on his team. But the Spikes are going to prohibit me from doing that. I'm going to get whittled down very, very quickly. So I let Emboar go down here. I could have clicked Sucker Punch, but I didn't want to give it the justified boost, and Sucker Punch was only going to do like 15% anyway. So I go into Garth here, because I don't really have another answer. I can't go into Hydreigon and kill this thing in one shot. So he goes for Close Combat, which is a kind of more than I had hoped to my Jirachi. I have full HP investment on this Jirachi, so he's probably max attack. So I do go for Psychic to get some damage on this thing. It would be a 2-hit KO, but we don't have the ability to stay in here with our Jirachi. So I am going to swap out to Crest Jr. here, because we can take a Close Combat. The problem is we take 28% from rocks and from spikes. That's one area where Cresselia definitely does a better job than Musharna. But in terms of their bulk and in terms of their move pool, it's relatively similar. It doesn't help that he gets a crit on the close combat either, but we're still pretty much fine. We are going to be able to get an opportunity here just to click the Moonlight. We're taking a risk here because the Hoopa could come in and go for a pretty threatening move, but lucky for us, he does just click Close Combat, and we are able to heal back up to a decent amount of HP. We're somewhere around 75-80%. Of course, he is back up at 60% as well. So now I can take this as an opportunity to click Baton Pass again. This thing isn't meant to do anything other than soak up damage and then switch into the appropriate Pokemon. So in that regard, I'm pretty happy with Musharna's performance so far this week. So he is going to bring out the Magneton now, which is pretty interesting. So we're going to Baton Pass, and we are going to go into our Hydreigon, because if this thing is Scarfed, our Hydreigon is also Scarfed. And at this point, Draco Meteor is going to two-shot anything on his team, except for probably Hoopa. But it's easily going to KO this Magneton. If he switched in Cobalion, we would be able to a KO that, or probably do 40% on the first roll and 20% on the second roll. And that would have been fine. So that's what I did there. I could have clicked Dark Pulse, but if I clicked Dark Pulse, then he could have brought in the Lopunny, and it would have been fine. So he brings in his Hoopa now. If you guys don't know, Hoopa Unbound is like humongous. It's like 20 feet tall. Go check out that Pokedex entry. But anyway, I can't go for a move on this thing because it's going to easily kill me with whatever type of move I want to go for. He's maybe predicting, I'm not sure what he's predicting to come in. Basically, Dark Pulse from a Life Orb Hoopa is just a really powerful hit. So I bring the Manaphy in, sack it, and bring my Hydreigon back in. And, you know, the U-turn here is pretty obvious. I've shown it a bunch of times already. He does go out into his Landorus. I am just going to click it anyway because I should be fine to make this play and then go into something that's going to give me a little bit more momentum. So at this point, I've lost Manaphy, I've lost Emboar, and I've also lost Sandslash, so I'm left with Musharna or Jirachi. I do go into Jirachi, and as I go into this, it occurs to me that, you know, I haven't seen any item on this thing. It doesn't show leftovers, hasn't shown Rocky Helmet, so I'm like, crap, it's probably Scarfed. I'm probably screwed. So it does go for the knockoff, which is going to kill our Jirachi through the Colbur Berry. Didn't get to lure in that Hoopa after all. So we do go back into our Nagini here, and we can just click Draco Meteor and kill the Landorus. It's a major bummer that I played so poorly earlier in the match with that Sandslash. Just imagine that this Landorus was dead now, and it wouldn't have killed off all these Pokemon, and I wouldn't have to waste a Draco to kill this Landorus. So it's really, really a big bummer. But you know, it's my first time playing on Wi-Fi, and actually it's my first time using Nitro Gift, so I can't be too disappointed that you know, things are going this way. Brings in the Cobalion. I can just go into Crest Jr., and he is going to Volt Switch now out into Hoopa, I believe is what he goes into. Let's see. I don't remember exactly. Yes, it is the Hoopa. And so he can pretty safely go for his Dark-type move here. But I am going to go ahead and switch out into Hydreigon just because it does resist. It's still going to do a lot of damage. And you'll see after the rocks and after the hit, we're not going to have a ton of HP left on this Hydreigon. So this is the final stand for the Hydreigon. It's done really good work this game, getting momentum, landing big hits. Got a kill on the Landorus, got a kill on the Magneton. So he is going to switch out because my U-turn is still, you know, pretty glaringly obvious, but I do just go for Draco Meteor. Do miss the hit, unfortunately. If I had hit that, I could have killed the Lopunny on the second hit, but obviously it didn't matter at this point. He just brings in Hoopa on the -4 Hydreigon, and he just goes for a move twice in a row, and he's able to be able to kill my Hydreigon, and then easily kill my Crest Jr. that's coming in here. But he can just stick in with Lopunny, go for a very safe return now that we are at a whopping 4 HP, and he is going to end up winning the game 3-0. So Akki, that was a really well played game. Your preparation was really awesome. The fact that Manaphy was completely worthless this game just is a testament to how well you prepared. And you noticed that, you know, that Pokemon like Hydreigon and Emboar were very threatening to you. So you just limited their ability to switch in, and it made the game really hard. And the spikes and everything really weakened my Musharna and also my Jirachi, so that they couldn't take hits for very long. If you had tried to bring a bulkier team with like Avalugg and Amoonguss, or a defensive Landorus and stuff like that, we might have had a chance to win. But he correctly recognized that the best way to beat a balance breaker such as Manaphy, such as Emboar, is to not bring balance. So, nothing you can do about that. I'm sad that we didn't win, but, you know, I'm treating this as a learning experience. It was the first week. I'm going to have no problem shaking this game off and bouncing back big for week number 2. and we do have some special things in store for you guys in week number 2, and we'll probably discuss that in a separate video. We're going to be shaking things up just a tiny bit. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to check back for more Pokemon content, and until the next time, I will see you guys later.